George MacKay, lovely to meet you, and congratulations on Through History of the Kelly Gang. I think the first thing I wanted to ask you was, you are no stranger to putting in research for roles, no stranger to doing a certain amount of homework. I know Justin Kurzel took you guys out for a month's worth of rehearsals, but he also asked you to do something that was unheard of, or at least I had never heard of before. He asked for a certain amount of musicality. So can you explain to me what was going on there in terms of, you guys had to do a gig or start a band?
Yes, yeah. He's this film is set in the 1870s, but he was like, we're going to let go of the history. We're just going to make it in the spirit of this gang. And he said, I see the Kelly Gang as a punk band. So, as you say, we had 4 weeks when we came out, and then he said, I've got you a gig in 3 weeks. And so we played a bar in Melbourne, and that was this kind of, that was part of the huge part of the rehearsal process, basically, was to write a set's worth of songs, write them together as a band, and to play this gig. And it was an amazing bonding experience. It was so much fun, first and foremost, but it was a way for all of us to start listening to each other in the way that, when you're literally playing music together, you have to. It was a way of opening up because of the sort of personal offerings that we were making in trying to build these songs. And then it also kind of gives you the swagger, because when we did it, and we played our gig, and we played it in dresses, and we had a good night. You feel invincible after that, and the music, I think, that energy, is like the energy of that experience, and that punk energy as well, is it was a massive kind of, that was kind of the core of the film, really. Yeah.
In terms of the physicality, it's probably an understatement to say that you're in great nick in this film. Looking more like maybe an MMA fighter as opposed to the Ned Kelly we've seen on screen before. I know you said that there were some changes involved in terms of, we're not going to go with the beard, but we're going to make him more of a kind of a wiry fighter. Well, in terms of the preparation for that, are we talking boiled chicken every day, 500 push-ups and pull-ups?
Yeah, Sean Keenan, who played Joe Byrne, I mean, we just basically talked about eggs and chicken and lamenting how we couldn't have more bread. But no, it was, in all seriousness, it was like, that was another thing that Justin, as a director, he offers you a chance to commit. He sort of goes, if you want this, if you want to have a go at this, go in 100%. And the big part of that, he said, is, I want you to physically change, and the commitment to changing your body when it involves what you eat, what you do, it links you to the character as well, and it links you with a feeling and almost like a commitment to that feeling. It's like you have a sort of weird relationship with your body, and we're not as in touch with our bodies anymore. I think myself, I'm quite heady most of the time. But it's an amazing thing to kind of, rather than worrying about how can I look tough, how can I do this, if you just sit in a body that says I'm hard as nails, it does it for you. And it's kind of, and you don't need to think about it because you know it, because you know that you could beat that person in a fight.
Yeah.
And as well, that was a key to Ned, because this guy, he wasn't doing it via kind of protein shakes and a gym routine, but it was like, he's been breaking rocks since he was a teenager. He's been felling trees when he was working. He works with horses. Everything was built. Everything was done with his hands. And it's said to be he was a pretty sort of physically formidable bloke. And so to kind of, that already kind of gives you a gravity that where you don't have to work hard, but you have to sort of work hard to kind of get a body that looks like you do.
Yeah, definitely. I know your father, Australian, your grandmother originally from Cork. Was there a certain level of research or travel in Ireland involved for this?
Yeah, I went to Tipperary, the first place I went, because originally, we played Ned, my version of Ned, and the gang, our generation in the film are Aussie, broadly. And I think Justin wanted them to be Aussie because this is a more contemporary take on the film.
Yeah.
And it's these young men who were sort of aware, sometimes consciously, sometimes subconsciously, that they are the firstborn of this new breed of Australian. With all of the kind of the wrongdoings that have come beforehand, they are the new colonial boys kind of thing. And I thought they should therefore speak like the Australians of today, broadly. And rather than, Ned probably would have had an Irish accent because of his parents being Irish. And so I started my research. I went to Tipperary for a week and rode horses in Nina and started learning about horse riding. And also I went to Moygloss, where Red Kelly, his dad, was arrested, and just wanted to kind of look at the land around there and get a sense of, because of, in Peter Carey's book, Ned's Irish culture is so important to him, and he's so proud of that, and his pride in that is part of his kind of aggression against his oppressors who are trying to subjugate that. And I just felt like I needed to come here to understand that. So I spent a wee bit of time in Tipperary and met an amazing historian, and Feathered as well, who gave me a brilliant morning in teaching me about Irish history.
Yeah, you're coming off the back of the mother of all award seasons and just the triumph that 1917 had. How do you feel coming out of that? Because that just must be, whatever about working on the film and actually releasing it, it must feel like a bit of a circus for the time that it happened. Are you happy to see the back of that, or is it just like that was such an amazing thing to be part of?
It was an amazing thing to be a part of. Like it's you never want to take any moment for granted, and it's an amazing thing to be a part of a film that's being received in that way, and it's a beautiful thing when the specialness of the doing of a job aligns with the way it's received is wonderful. And it is, so it's a lot of things all at once. It's sometimes discombobulating because it's not the filming process that got it there. It's a kind of excitement around the reaction to the final piece, but then by the same token that is a good thing too. So just trying to take it as it comes, but as you say, it's done the now, so just sort of try and focus on the next thing.